Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe. According to Big C and them good old boys down south, we want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. And of course, you good old boys up in Canada, we love you, Canada. But there's no one I love more than all you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for all you good old boys down south?
We had some sunshine today, didn't get no rain, so we feel that we're blessed and everything. So, you know, gotta go inside the house tonight just to take a shower, some things to change it up.
Wait a minute. You only gotta get a shower because it's hot? Is that what you're saying? You don't get a shower when it's cold, Big C?
Well, hey, you got that free water, that water bill don't run up. Why not take that free shower?
I understand. Hey, I take a shower every Friday, whether I need it or not. That's how we get down in California. I say today is a beautiful June 23rd, 2017. There's so much happening in the world of sports. Last night we had the NBA draft. We were coming from San Francisco, California. I'm back here in the Central Valley. It's a lot hotter here in the Valley than it is in the Bay Area, Big C. But also it has a lot of young kids were drafted. They had kids that were drafted, Big C, that could probably still be in high school. A lot of 19-year-old kids were drafted. Also, we have in the College World Series, a little breaking news on that. A win streak snapped in that. Some baseball swinging in that across the country, Big C. But I want to start out with, we're in an intelligent sports program, and I think POTUS is trying to pass his health care bill. And of all people, they had Senator Mitch McConnell, who looks like he's about to drop any minute now, Big C. He's trying to pass a bill that would help people that look like him, but it's about to eliminate 23 million people if these knuckleheads approve it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Charlton, I wonder if Mitch McConnell had to survive on the Affordable Care Act. How would he be? Where would he get his Botox injection?
That's funny. He does have some smooth skin, Big C. You gotta get. I thought he was rubbing moonshine on it. You know he's from Kentucky, Big C.
Well, that's Vaseline and Botox to keep it like that.
Yeah.
But you know, when you think about the Senate trying to push this bill through, they're not going to get enough votes. But you know what? I don't understand what the rush and the draw is from the Senate, the Republican part of the Senate and the president, to try to devoid Americans of health care.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough enough to afford anything in America, Charlton.
Yeah.
But the president is so hell-bent on leaving those unfortunate without any coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right now the staple of his presidency. You know, he ran on a repeal Obamacare.
Yeah. But
the repeal Obamacare is to not care for the American public.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough to get insurance for anybody, Charles, unless you have a company that you work for and they provide, group coverage.
Yeah.
But to go out as an individual in America and try to get health care, that's like going out trying to buy a home without a loan home company.
Yeah.
Without a mortgage company.
Yeah. We understand that too, Big C. I want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, the great POTUS, and of course, I want our country to do great, but when I was in school, they told me that you put the good grades with the bad grades on your report card, and they found a medium, Big C, and that was your final grade. Well, obviously, I want to talk about POTUS a little bit more. There's some jobs that have gone away again from one of America's staple companies, Big C. I know he said he's going to provide jobs, but we even have more jobs going away, Big C. Your thoughts?
Last month, you and I talked about Sears and Kmart.
Yeah.
Closing 74 stores here in America.
Yeah.
This was just last month, Charlton. We're what, right now in June?
Yeah.
And now this month, just today, Sears has announced the closing 8 stores.
Yeah.
Now, I called elected, and there was Courier Air Conditioning.
Yeah.
That was talking about taking jobs to Mexico.
To Mexico, yeah.
And he made this big surge that he was going to go out and force Courier to stay in America. You know, over 350 jobs, Charlton. And I'm not saying that those 350 Americans didn't deserve employment, and they rightfully do.
Yeah, yeah.
But, when you close, in a matter of 2 months, between 2 major retailers in America, 102 stores.
Yep.
And the president is quiet as a church mouse speak on cotton and church. Okay?
You got a lot of those scenarios.
No one hears him at all.
Yeah.
this is where the president is gone.
Yeah.
Those Americans who voted for him, that he's going to make America great, he's going to make America strong, he was going to bring jobs back to America.
Yeah.
I think America needs to do a tally right now on how many jobs that the president has brought back to America that he said and promised that he was going to create.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the coal industry. He hasn't done anything in the coal industry. He's been in office several months. People say, well, you got to give him several more months. If you weren't going to kickstart the coal industry, you weren't going to kickstart it. Now the retail industry, Charlton, since he has become president, has gone away. And I'll tell you the major reason why, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay? There's this little country that starts with a C.
Yeah.
His name is China.
Yeah.
That does a lot of online retailing, okay? The president is deeply invested in China, as well as his daughter, who China makes all of her goods for her retail line, okay?
Yeah, at least 99% of them.
Out of China.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny because obviously, you know, we're in a sports talk show and we love politics and sports, and the Pope came out and talked to the NFL, you know, earlier this week, and now POTUS for the first time, he's saying that he thinks that Russia may have influenced the election. He thinks. I mean, the FBI told him that a long time ago, Big C. Why is he just getting around to accepting it?
Well, you know, Chuck, he's been trying to cover his butt, as well as everybody he's appointed to his cabinet.
Yeah.
This is the first presidency, Charlton, that everyone in the main part of the administration has gone out and hired private lawyers.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Think about it. They've all gone out and hired private lawyers. Normally you hire lawyers when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
When there's a criminal charge getting ready to be levied against you, Charles.
Yeah.
So normally you'll go out and hire an attorney. We see that with layman people in society all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, here you're the administration of the United States, and you're going out hiring private, and we're not talking about cheap private counsel, Charles.
Yeah, it's expensive.
We're talking about $100,000 lawyers.
Yeah.
They're going out to hire to say, hey, they didn't do this.
Yeah.
But yet we hear nobody from the administration coming out and saying or denying any of these allegations. Even the president has never denied any of the allegations that have been levied towards him.
Yeah, I think it's funny, even when the nation's top cop, the Attorney General, has to get his own attorney, Big C. So something tell you, like we've been bringing it to you on Big C Sports for a long time, whatever we talk about, you'll see it on CNN about a week or two later. But getting back into the world of all the great athletes that could still be playing high school basketball right now, just want to say congratulations to them when you get drafted into any sports league and you actually get a paycheck, Big C. That's always a good thing. But I think about the players that went yesterday. With the top two guys that we covered, you had Fultz, who played at Washington, a 6'4" point guard, being the first player drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers. They have a lineage of drafting number one draft picks, but they haven't really succeeded on the courts. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they have a stockpile of number one draft picks. They actually have 4 overall number one draft picks on their roster at this moment. And all of those, Charlton, have occurred in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they've been drafting number one for a long time without any success.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's hard to think. And here's Folk, the number one draft pick overall. He's 19 years old.
19? Wow. What were you doing at 19, Big C? 19, you're supposed to be focused on your finals in college, not how you signed a big paycheck in the NBA, Big C.
Well, some of those things might be considered a felony today, Charlton, so we won't discuss it.
We won't discuss that, okay? I understand. And also,
when you think about this, 19-year-olds and 16 last night were drafted, Charlton.
Yeah.
They were technically freshmen in college. 19-year-olds, 16 of them were drafted in the first round of the NBA draft last year.
Yeah.
Now, you know, we've had this discussion for a couple of days, is that you need some maturity in a leadership role when you're looking at building an organization.
Yeah.
I mean, when we look around at the last 10 NBA champions, Charles, how many of them did not have veteran mentorship on their roster and were led by veterans? We haven't seen a rookie in the last decade, Charlton, step up and be an impactful player in any championship run in the NBA.
No, not at all.
When you want to look at the success of organizations, if you haven't built that veteran nucleus, yet you can sprinkle in young players here and there.
Yeah.
But you need that veteran nucleus. And we look at the top 2 teams in the draft last night, Charlton.
Yeah.
Neither one of those teams have a veteran nucleus, whether you're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers or the Philadelphia Eagles, Charlton. They just don't have that veteran nucleus.
Yeah.
So these are teams that are basically, as Moses would say, wandering in the wasteland. wasteland.
One wasteland.
That's where they are. They're going to waste a lot of money on some young players that are not going to have that productivity, Charlton, and they all need babysitters.
Yeah, well, the 76ers might bring back Moses Malone, Maurice Cheeks, and the great Dr. J. They might even throw Allen Iverson in there to help, with folks if they want to get back to the NBA. But obviously, they have the money, these young kids, the Kentucky point guard, the Aaron Fox, he's coming out here to California for the Sacramento Kings. But I want to go back to the Lakers, and the Magic Johnson was talking about some expectations he has for Lonzo Ball, which I think would be a great player in time, Big C. But he's not asked to come in and lead the team right away. I think something's going on with the Laker organization. They're trying to build for the next 2 years, Big C. I think they have Ball. They can service them for the next 7 to 8 years. But they still got to get that veteran guy that you were talking about. And whether it's Paul George or somebody else, we got to look at some more movement in Los Angeles. Blake Griffin, he's ready to go packing his bags and getting the U-Haul ready. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Blake Griffin exercised the out option in his contract today, Charlton.
Yeah.
So he becomes an unrestricted free agent and can move to any NBA team without giving the Clippers any compensation.
Yeah.
And he's right there in L.A. A great move would be to the other side of the
other side of the locker room? Yeah.
All he has to do is walk another 60 feet from one side of the court to the other. And he has a new home.
Yeah.
And when you look at Blake Griffin, that's probably the smartest move he can make.
Yeah.
Other than going to Boston or Cleveland.
Yeah.
Those are the only other two resting places I can see a Blake Griffin ending up that he could benefit a team. And now if he goes to Boston, that's power on the front line to go with Isaiah Thomas at the point.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They already have a playoff organization, Charlton. They didn't have that dominance in the playoffs in the paint. Blake Griffin could offer that to the Boston Celtics. I mean, it would be a wise move to move to that market. I think they would absorb him. He's been a all-star.
Yeah.
Moving to the Lakers is not going to better his career because you got this young team that's in this rebuilding trend.
Yeah.
Okay? It's going to take a while for them to be impactful.
Yep.
Going to Cleveland, everybody has talked about Love being out. You don't have to get rid of Love.
No, keep him.
You can bring Griffin in.
Yeah.
Now you got two serious power forwards working. And this way you'll give Thompson some relief in the paint. But now LeBron James is going to have a whole lot of assistance of two guys who can go to and crash the boards as well as score inside the paint. He won't have to be the only one doing that in Cleveland. But if you look at him going around the NBA elsewhere, maybe the San Antonio Spurs might be a good fit.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of teams that Blake Griffin can go to that's going to be a championship contender, Charles.
Well, there's another, when you look at the Celtics there, you're talking about maybe he'll land there. They had the number 3 pick, Jason Tatum, a 6'8" forward out of Duke. And Coach Krzyzewski, you can't say anything bad about him sending players on to the next league. It's just a matter of how they play when they get there. So I like what Boston's trying to do. They had a good team this year. They just kind of fell down the stretch to a bigger team that was bigger and stronger than them in the playoffs, Big C. But obviously they're a team, and Danny Ainge is taking his time to try to build that organization back. I don't know if they'll ever do anything the way they did when they had Russell. Maybe they can bring Russell out of retirement too, Big C. He looked like he could get you at least 3 or 4 points a game based on what some of the guys do nowadays, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he might be able to shoot from the bench. I don't know if he can go down the court with that game. Great Bill Russell, time is keeping up with him. And, when you've labored up and down the hardwood for that many years, it takes a toll on your joints and your feet, Charles.
Yeah.
And so you're going to struggle in latter years. But the Boston Celtics, I've heard so much talk about all these experts saying that they're building for the future. All these teams are building for the future. And the thing that I've always marveled at people who've never played professional sports, Charlton, is that the future is now.
Yeah, now.
It's today.
Yeah.
We don't sit in and look 3 years down the road and say, well, we could have helped with draft picks. But, in 3 years, we're going to be a solid organization.
No.
Because half the guys you have with that organization will be cut, traded, or released.
That's a good point. They cut them.
So they're looking at winning now. They're not worried about who you can bring in that's 19 years old and is supposed to be the next saint. They want to go out, Charlton, and knock up some victories today.
Yeah, and Big C, one thing I noticed, we used to seeing guys as you get a certain age, they get into the NBA and especially the NFL, and they'll start hitting the weight room and whatever else they give these guys to hit, if that makes any sense to you, Big C. And they put on 30 or 40 pounds of muscle. I'm looking at some of these players that are that's kind of skinny. I look at the kid for the Suns, Josh Jackson, a 6'8", out of Kansas. Great player at Kansas. Then I look at the Kings. Their first round pick in the fifth pick actually in the first round was De'Aaron Fox, a very talented athlete, 6'5" point guard from Kentucky. But they look like they don't even feed these kids. They need a sandwich or something, Big C. Was it just me, or does these guys look malnourished, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, it seems to be that way. I mean, the kid last night, and I can't remember which team he went to, but it was from Florida.
Yeah.
Florida State, I believe, or Florida International.
Yeah.
And, he's 6'10", weighed 205 pounds.
Yeah, that's small, Big C.
I took my shoes off and they weighed that the other day.
Yeah.
And 6'10" and 205 pounds. You're not going to body up on anybody, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, he makes Kevin Durant look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
With 205.
Yeah.
But, everybody's talked about the beast that LeBron James is being.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How is a guy that weighs 205 pounds going to measure up to
LeBron James?
He doesn't even have leverage, Charlton. I mean, he has to put rocks in his pockets and stay on the court when they got the fans on.
What?
These young players, this is the overall process and package, Charlton, that you and I have addressed.
Yeah.
Is that these players have not spent enough time in college going to the training table eating, okay?
Yep.
They have to put on some weight. They have to go to the weight room to understand the rigors of the NBA.
Yeah.
This is not a light in the butt game, okay?
Yeah.
You got to have some stones to go out there and play night in and night out. You will get pushed all up and down the court. There's some big body grown men.
Yeah, and
grown men in the NBA, Charles.
And when you think about back in the day, Big C, you saw guys like Moses Malone. Of course, we saw Shaq. We had the round mound of rebound and Charles Barkley. And I looked at how big some of these guys were. Bill Laimbeer, these guys were big men. They were not coming in at 180 pounds and then playing down on the post, Big C. They were plus 200 pounds, and they actually had some muscle, some size to them. I recall how you looked at a guy like Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. He was not only physically fit, Big C, he had some good size to him. So I wonder why, and I know maybe it's just a new generation of things, but I saw Magic Johnson standing next to Lonzo Ball. And, of course, we're talking about men that are about 40 years apart in age. But still, I look at the weight. You got to put some meat on these guys' bones if they're going to go into the NBA and pound the ball down his side. Not everybody's going to be like a Steph Curry, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, that is going to happen to Ball. Players will get physical on him in the NBA, and that's what's going to hurt so many of these 19-year-old players, Charleston.
Yeah.
Is that the veteran player is not going to allow you to come out there and show him up. They will put a body on you and put several bodies on you. You were talking about the size of players. I remember back when the Pacers and the Knicks were having their rivalry.
Yeah.
And you had Dale Davis and Antonio Davis and Rick Smits.
Oh, yeah.
There with the Clippers. Huge front line.
Yeah.
At 7'2", 6'11", and 6'9" on the front line. And across the way, you had the Knicks with Patrick Ewing at 7 foot. You had Anthony Mason at 6'8", Charles Oakley at 6'9". And all of these guys were, 260 plus.
Yeah, they were big men.
The big men, and so you put one of these young players immature. I mean, we talk about them being immature mentally, okay?
Yeah.
But they're immature physically.
Yeah.
I think about back when I was in college, Charlton. I could have never came out of college at 19 years old and played pro ball.
No.
I was not ready mentally or physically. I really wasn't even ready as a rookie.
Yeah.
When I got there, I was awestruck. First of all, you're a fan.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing so many guys that you revered when you were growing up. Now you're in the locker room with them.
Yeah.
And you're having to go out there and compete every day. Where on that college level, you didn't have grown men every play. You had the backups in college, and that's the reason why they were backups.
Yeah. That
you practice against. Every day in the pros, you were practicing against guys who wanted a job.
Yeah.
And so they were serious about the business. The luxury that a first-round draft pick gets in the NBA is that he has a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
And half of those players last night that was drafted, Charlton, without a guaranteed contract, they would be in the D-League.
Isn't that something?
Honestly, it would.
Yeah.
Because they're going to show up, and they're going to find out that physically they can't match up with the talent that's already there on the roster.
And that's a very good point you brought up. And of course, we want everyone to succeed, but we talked about the real talk. You had 60 players taken yesterday in the first and second round. You got to tell me, are 60 NBA players with muscle and experience going to be put out of a job? I think not. It's a tough business, and I think the thing that Adam Silver's trying to say, opposite of what Stern said, Stern kind of push for players to stay in college a little bit longer. And right now they're trying to make it easy for players to come right out of high school and get tossed into this feeding factory called the NBA in the world of pro sports and all the limelight that comes with it. And I don't think it's right for young men to be tossed into that. At the same time, I think if you can go make a living, who could tell Kobe Bryant, no, you can't play in the NBA? Who could tell LeBron James, no, you cannot play in the NBA? Who could tell Garnett, no, you cannot play in the NBA? Obviously, these guys are like winning the lotto. They're very rare. But from what I see with a lot of these players that weigh about $175 when they're soaking wet, I see them being beaten up physically in the NBA because the NBA is not a no-touch league. It's not a finesse league. You watch the way LeBron James plays basketball, these guys are going to have the bodysuits when they have to play this game. Big C, your thoughts?
It is about physicality in the NBA, Charlton. And these young players, and when you look at the draft, we got this one-and-done dope deal with college basketball.
Yeah.
It's totally a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke.
These kids go to school for 6 months, and then for 6 months they don't go to school.
Yeah.
They go to school their first semester just so they can be eligible for the basketball team.
Yeah.
Nobody checks their grades during the basketball season. And we touched on that a lot last year during the tournament, Charlton.
Yeah.
How does a player go to school, okay, in NCAA tournament?
When you on airplanes for 3 days a week.
and you're supposed to go into class.
Yeah.
And so we see that, when these players come out and they go back and take a look, so he had no GPA.
Yeah.
Or his GPA was a .64. So he was not going fast.
Yeah.
And the university is all aware of that, Charlton, but the monies from television revenue, from ESPN, from NBC, from Fox, from ABC, from CBS, is so great that the universities turn a blind eye, Charlton, on these athletes not going to class.
Yeah.
They just want the revenue stream that these athletes are going to create, and the athlete is off on his own. Now, Charlton, we know about the ones who get drafted.
Yeah.
What about the ones who don't get drafted? Now, there were 60 players drafted last night. All of them were not from the U.S., okay?
That's
true.
true.
There were Europeans
drafted
last night in the draft, so Americans didn't go in those positions.
No.
So let's say roughly 48 Americans were drafted last night, Charlton.
Yeah.
48. How many teams were in the NCAA tournament, Charlton? 65, okay?
Yeah.
65 teams participated in the NCAA tournament. We're not talking about the other 40 that were in the NIT.
NIT, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So we had over 100 universities that participated in 2 NCAA tournaments last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
But less than 50 players from the U.S. were drafted last night from those 100 teams. So where are those players who fell to the gap?
Yeah.
Where are they going to get employment? Who's going to say, hey, we're going to hold a mock draft for you because you didn't get drafted?
Well, you didn't get, wait, Big C, you didn't get the breaking news. Donald Trump is creating jobs all over the country, so they don't have to worry about if they don't make it. Donald Trump's going to hire everybody, Big C. That's what he's going to do. So they won't have to worry about a job.
They won't get a job in Sears or Kmart.
Okay. And you brought up another point. The last player taken yesterday is by the Hawks, Alpha Kaba, a 6'10" power forward out of Serbia. Didn't go to UCLA, didn't go to USC or Kansas or Duke. This guy was not an American citizen, but he's going to be playing in the NBA. So you're not, and again, we say this because the average young kid, he wants to get ready for the NBA draft. He wants to get ready to play in the NBA, and someone's convinced him that an education is not that important. Just go make a few $1 million or $100 million, and you don't need an education. But a lot of these guys got to understand, a lot of athletes where they don't have an education going into the league, they just get taken advantage of by a lot of these sports agents who will eat them up and spit them out, Big C. They'll get a pat on the back. They'll drive around in a brand new Bentley, or they'll get the brand new whatever. But at the end of the day, we have too many young African-American athletes that have just been chewed up and spitting out, and they have nothing to show for it. And I hate seeing that happen. So I know Big C Sports is probably the only program, along with Jay Billis, and I respect Jay Billis as a lawyer, that says we got to find a way to pay people in college because not everybody's going to make it in the NBA, but for the guys who do make it, Big C, a lot of them can't say they have anything once they're out of the league for 10 years, Big C. Your thoughts?
We're talking so many of these kids go through this because they're kids when they come out.
Yeah.
How do you tell a 19-year-old to be fiscally responsible, Charlton? You can't.
Yeah.
We saw that last night in the pre-draft show when they were showing off the diamond watches. And
isn't that crazy? All the bling-bling. Yeah.
We had talked about that. They got that new money.
Yeah.
They got that new money they don't know anything about it. Because they have of no value.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, let me spend $100,000 on jewelry so I look good for the draft. Let me get 2 studs for my ears.
Yeah.
Let me get the bling-bling from my wrist. this.
Yeah.
Let me get the change from my neck.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, they learned the first thing to learn as a potential number one draft pick, Charlie,
yeah,
is how to waste money.
Or how to become a robbery target.
Being a professional athlete is how to waste money.
Yeah.
Because all the jewelry that they buy, it doesn't pay. It has no financial dividends after you've bought it.
No.
And you don't even negotiate. Just let me have it.
Yeah, and that's
overshow you on the price.
Yeah, and
so right off the back, you learn stupidity 101.
Yeah.
Let me start throwing away money. Oh, and I got some family members and friends. I need to make it look good also.
And see,
so I'm going in on draft night, and I spent $250,000 for what?
Already.
$250,000 to be on TV for 5 minutes.
Yeah. In the bling bling.
That's the start of my career.
Yeah.
That's the knowledge that I possess. That's the intelligence that I have.
Yeah, and unfortunately, too, what I do appreciate about David Stern when he was a commissioner, he had this dress code. If you recall, there was a lot of times a lot of the players would dress like they wanted to be hard, or they wanted to act like they came from the street or some rough environment. So they had this sag look sitting on the sidelines, and David Stern came in and said, wait a minute, you're in a billion-dollar business. You don't have to represent yourself that way. You got to have a better look, a suit and tie look. So I appreciate the fact that they've done that. But something you brought up that I think is so important. But how can I tell a guy who just got a $20 million bank account what to do? Because he's not going to listen to me. But I just hope they'll listen to wisdom, like a guy like a Bill Russell. When Bill Russell gave out the trophy with the Golden State Warriors won their championship, he didn't have $100,000 worth of gold hanging around his neck. I mean, he didn't have a $100,000 Rolex watch or whatever kind of watch on his fingers, Big C. Obviously, they need to have that tutelage and that mentoring, and I hope that happens because I'm happy for these guys that got drafted, but I don't like the fact that now every young player, especially young African Americans, and I'm pejoratively speaking, they may think, I don't need an education. Why would I go to college? Look what these guys just got. And I think that's the wrong message. I would hope that we can have more of an emphasis on just have a clean-cut look when you're representing the NBA. I don't think the NBA wants to make them all look like Mr. T, and I just hope that makes sense to someone. It won't make sense to everybody, but I hope it resonates well to some people. Big C, that make any sense to you?
Well, Charlton, I resonate your sentiments, Charlton, about these young players.
Yeah.
Is that they need to find a niche, and that niche is not being going along with the mainstream young guy that you see on the street or even you went to college with.
Yeah.
You moved into corporate America. I mean, seriously, you have. You moved into that $1 million neighborhood, all right?
Yeah.
Multi-million-dollar neighborhood. You have to learn how to represent yourself as part of that echelon.
Yeah.
How corporate America lives, how corporate America functions.
Yeah.
You're not cutting off the lifeline of where you came from, but you moved up. This goes back to the television show that was big back in the 70s.
Oh, Sherman Hensley back in the day.
Yeah. To the east side.
Yeah.
You got your piece of the sky.
Yeah.
And that's what these people have to look at, these young men, is that I moved up.
Yeah.
And I can't bring everybody with me in moving up.
Right.
There's going to be some people that you have to step over because you've gotten there.
Yeah.
Everybody can't move into your apartment or your house.
Yep.
And so you can't treat them that way.
Yeah.
You have to have that separation, and you have to be within the organization that drafted you.
Yeah.
You have to have that type of mindset and mentality to operate the way that they would as professionals. Look at the people in the front office when you go to work. Look at the people that you go to negotiate your contract with. You know, as you said, you saw the ball kid today on television.
Yeah.
The two men that were there representing the organization both had on suit and tie.
Yeah.
He came in like in a leisure suit, a little jumpsuit.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that he has. So just right off the back from what I saw last night, let me go buy all the jewelry that I can.
Yeah.
Let me come into this press conference like it's a leisurely day.
Yeah.
That's the mindset he's going to have as a player. That this is a leisure, casual atmosphere.
Yeah.
But once he get into the NBA and he start getting checked by some of these players, that you're first round draft pick.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be the face of the organization.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to save the Lakers. All of a sudden, you get several hard fouls and you get the 4. All you can do, Charlton, is go to the free throw line and shoot 2.
Yeah, shoot your 2.
You can't retaliate because you don't have enough weight.
don't have enough size. That's a very good point, too. So, obviously, congratulations to these young men. But for the young men that they're leaving behind at the high school level that are seniors this year that are thinking, well, he did it. He did one and done in college. I can do the same thing. I hope they continue to focus on getting that education, because that's going to carry them a lot farther than someone who's going to lose all their money in the next 10 or 15 years. And I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's what history has shown, Big C. I just want to touch a little bit on the world of track and field. In Sacramento, California, they had Tyson.
Before you go there, Charles, let me touch on one last thing with the draft. Okay?
Yeah.
You talk about these young men succeeding. All right? There were 16 freshmen drafted last night. In the first round, okay?
Yeah.
There were 68 underclassmen that cleared for the draft.
Wow.
68 underclassmen. And 60 players were drafted last night. And of those 60 players, 48 were drafted from the United States.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So there were a lot of players left last night wondering, why did I leave school?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And now I can't go back and get the free education. My college eligibility is gone.
Yep.
68 underclassmen declared for the NBA draft last night. That's not one of the things they talk about on the draft show.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about the bad decisions that were made by the guys left behind.
Yeah.
And what's their future hold now, because there's no future. They may go to a summer camp, with an NBA team, but that's the extent of what they're going to get.
Yeah.
They're going to have to try to go to Europe or someplace and play, but 58 underclassmen declared draft, Justin, and there were only 60 slots to draft players in, and only 48 were drafted out of U.S. universities of 123 Division I colleges.
And that's a very good point to bring up, and I think Jay Billis kind of touched on that a little bit, and he brought it up. It only lasted about 3 seconds because they went to a different question. They talked about so many players going over to Europe if they don't make it into the NBA, and Jay Billis said, well, a lot of the colleges are going to lose more of these top guys because they don't pay them. And then the other broadcaster went right to a different story, but he didn't touch on it. And I thought it's so poignant because you just brought it up. The only reason players are leaving college after 1 year is to get paid. We know that. But if you're an ignorant person, you're going to get taken advantage of. And that's just a fact. Because there are a lot of shrewd attorneys out there. They don't have your best interest at hand. They have how much money can they put in their pocket at hand. And most of them don't look like they came from the same background that these athletes came from. And I know that's a fact, Big C. It may be something people don't want to talk about. But most of these agents, they're going to be caught up by someone who doesn't look like them. They're going to be caught up by someone that came out of a totally different environment and background that they came from. And at the end of the day, I hope they take the chance to interview some of the other athletes who have been out of the league for 15 and 20 years and ask them, tell me, give me some mentoring. Tell me what happened to the money. Because I know what you just talked about is so true. And you just brought it up. 68 people declared. They didn't all get drafted. Now what do they have? Those colleges are not going to take them back and say, hey, you know what? You can come back and play for us. They're not going to do that. They may end up going to junior college, or maybe Donald Trump's going to give them a job. I want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. When you play athletics, you need insurance. We go through Ben and Mark. They've been around for a half a century. They're in all 50 states. If you tweet out to them, they cover pro athletes, collegiate, and even your high school and your mom and pop soccer leagues. Let them know that Charlton and Big C sent you. So, Big C, this is a money business. And I love that you brought this up because Jay Billis, again, he was kind of brushed aside when he brought it up. He just said that the money, they got to get paid in college. And they went right to something else, Big C. So, obviously, for all the young players, congratulations, you have the money. But please get some mentorship from guys who have played the game, not some slick-talking attorney who's going to talk to you, but talk to guys who've already been hired, who've already hired some of these attorneys and sports agents, and ask them where the money went. The ones who are honest will tell you, you got to have a second opinion. Don't just trust what everybody tell you. Big C, is that salient advice, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's very profound. But, the thing that I'd like to see is not to highlight it of the guys who were drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
I want them to do a feature on the guys who didn't get drafted, who declared early.
Yeah.
Who no longer has the eligibility.
Yeah.
Or job opportunity to play professional basketball.
Yeah.
I think that's where ESPN misses the boat. You can always highlight the success stories.
Yeah, the guy that won the lotto.
Show us where the failures are.
Yeah.
Show us those guys who were sitting at home last night, name wasn't called, and they're like, I can't even go back to college now. And matter of fact, if they'd been on campus, they'd have been evicted.
Yeah.
Because they no longer have a scholarship.
Yeah.
So these are the things, these are the stories that need to be told. It's always good to show the flower when it's in full bloom. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got to show it when it's struggling, trying to get through the dirt.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And ESPN does a disservice to every college athlete out there because they don't talk to the guys who declare early, as a freshman, Charles,
Yeah.
or as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And now you've left 2 to 3 years of eligibility on the table, and you're sitting there, and it's like you have no future. You don't have the money to get to Europe. Nobody from Europe is calling you.
Nope.
No D-League team is calling you, because normally those are guys that they release from training camps, and the NBA teams place them in the D-League.
Yeah.
But, as you look at this, who's there?
Yeah.
Who's there for you? You're going to go back home, stay with your mom, your parents, whatever. You just don't have anything. And like we heard earlier, Sears is closing another 28 stores. It's hard for a 6'10" guy to get a job at Sears when the store is closing.
Isn't that amazing, Big C? So obviously we bring it to you real talk, and we're happy for everybody, but I just want people, don't be blinded. Just don't be blinded by all the glitz and the glamour and someone telling you about the guys that got chosen, because there's a lot more that did not get chosen, Big C, and no one's talking about them this morning outside of Big C Sports. I do want to bring up something about the great Tyson Gray, one of the fastest sprinters in the history of the universe, Big C, up in Sacramento at the U.S. Track and Field Outdoor Championships. These guys are running around in 105, 110 degree heat. It'll be running all over this weekend, the U.S. Track and Field Outdoor Championships. I remember being a part of that back in 2000. Tom Hammond was doing his thing, and that's when they had the guy Johnson with the gold wingtip shoes. I wonder what he's doing now. But obviously a great event in Sacramento. Go out and take a look at that. But just in the world of sports in general, Big C, I think 45 years ago, we talked about men and guys trying to get paid. But even Title IX, I think we're celebrating 45 years, Big C, of Title IX to help the female college athletes as well, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it is the 45th anniversary today, Charlton, of Title IX. The trailblazer for female athletics at the university level, Charlton. It opened a path for so many great young female athletes, Charlton, to have an opportunity to play athletics on the college level.
Yeah.
People say, well, a lot of men's sports suffered from it. They didn't, Charlton. The men's sports that suffered and went away, they weren't revenue-generating sports anyway, okay?
Yep.
So they didn't suffer from Title IX. When you think about major colleges, and, the revenue is generated through basketball and football.
Yeah.
Okay? And you look at a lot of female sports. You look at females college baseball, and they got the World Series going on in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They generate revenue, okay? Ladies college basketball, you think Dino Arias does not play in front of a full house every night?
All the time.
The great late Pat Summitt when he was in Tennessee, always outsold the men's basketball program at the University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
But this came about because of Title IX, Charlton. The entitlement of women athletics to be funded on a major level in college basketball. And you look at all the great female athletes that we've seen over the decades, Charlton. It's in tennis, whether it's in golf, whether it's in swimming, and basketball, as we've seen, ladies baseball, volleyball. These women have been tremendous athletes. When you look at the competitiveness that they have, and in the packed houses that they play in front of them, the fans have respected them and appreciated their athleticism, their competitive balance. I mean, we look at female gymnastics. When we watch the Summer Olympics, what do we watch as viewers?
Yeah.
We watch gymnastics. We're glued to it.
And they're amazing.
We're all glued to gymnastics. We're all glued to the pool with the female athletes in the pool, Charlton.
Yeah.
We're glued to tennis. We look at how competitive that is. But every female sport in the Olympics, Charlton, everybody's glued to it because they're great competitors. And Title IX has paved the way over the decades, the past 45 years, Charlton, for these tremendous women to be productive members on the college court as well as on the court of life, Charlton, after college.
Yeah, and Big C, that's a very good point. So we want to make sure that women get the acknowledgement too, and they always have the equity. And when it comes to playing the game and obviously getting paid, I don't know if we'll ever reach any type of gender equality when it comes to pay, but hopefully they'll keep getting the chance because of what Title IX has done has been great for so many female women athletes across the country, and we want to make sure they get acknowledged also. Big C, I want to touch on a little bit of the golf world. A new golf course in Cromwell, Connecticut. Jordan Spieth didn't take long to figure out the TPC River Highlands, and he's had Thursday 7 under 63 for one-stroke lead at Travelers Championship. So obviously, we talked about golf in his absence, but Spieth might be the great white hope for the world of golf, and he's starting out strong over there in the Travelers. Also, the European Tour in Munich. We have Sergio Garcia. He opened his first event in Europe since his Masters win by shooting a bogey-free 6 under 66. to tie the 2 strokes off the lead at the BMW International Open. So golf, I'm trying to get back into golf. I'm trying to love it, Big C, but I still am not turned on by it. So we'll have to find out what we can do to push these guys up and mass market them. Maybe they'll have an interview with Tiger Woods and what he's doing medically or whatever to get more people to pay attention. Because even mentioning that, people pay more attention than what Spieth and also Garcia are doing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you talk about these 2 different golf championships that are going on, you're talking about 2 splintered fields.
Yeah.
You don't have the best playing against the best.
Yep.
Jordan Spieth was a non-factor last week in the U.S. Open, okay?
Yep.
He finished in the middle of the pack. Sergio Garcia just barely made the cut, okay? And he finished 7 strokes back.
Yeah.
So, the consistency that these golfers now lack, that's hard. That's what makes it hard to follow golf.
Yeah.
Is that one week, here it is, you got Spieth shooting a 7 under and Garcia shooting a 6 under in the first round.
In different countries.
That's where they were for the entire tournament last week.
Yeah, that's funny. And they do it in different countries. If golf is going to make a concerted effort to get the best of the best and get the viewership back, they got to do what the NBA does. They play the Eastern Conference champions versus the Western Conference champions. They don't play one in the United States and the other over in Europe, Big C. You know how they kind of put the best of the best together, and that gets people from all over the world to pay attention to that event? Well, where golf is dropping the ball, no pun intended, is they're dropping the ball in different countries. They have the best players that they're marketing in different countries. There's no need to tune in and watch them because you don't know who you're going to see outside of the top 1 or 2. Does that make any sense at all, Big C?
Well, golf has become the sport of the century, Charlton. It's where it is. So you really have to be
a fanatic.
What's going on in golf?
Yeah.
When you're talking about splitting up the major players on 2 different continents,
yeah,
that's not competitive for the fans.
No.
If I'm a fan tuning in and I'm got to watch one golfer on one channel and another golfer on another channel.
Yeah.
They're not even competing against each other.
No.
So there's no pressure.
No.
And as a fan, it's like, okay, which one do I want to gravitate to? I'm not interested in either one of them.
Yeah.
And so that's what golf has done. Golf has watered down what it had that was positive in America, that dominated the world, under the reign of Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Golf was the most dominant sport. It could be the NFL, Charlton, and the NBA.
Yeah.
And not only that, almost want to hang out with Tiger.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any NBA player want to hang out with Jordan Spieth, Sergio Garcia, Ricky
No.
Fowler.
No.
I haven't seen that, Charlton. Phil Mickelson. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen him dining on the golf.
And ironically,
great chances, even Bubba Watson.
Yeah.
And he went to the University of Georgia, to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
I don't even see their alumni want to play golf with him.
No, and ironically, you just brought something up. Whenever you saw Tiger and Phil when golf was this big, when you saw Tiger and Phil, they were normally walking the same links together, Big C. They had them in the same tournament. They didn't have one guy playing in Europe and another guy playing in the United States. So hopefully someone's got to get together and say this game is dwindling right now. They got to make it more diverse, and they got to find a way to get the top players competing with each other. Big C, I just want to close out a little bit talking about some Major League Baseball, and obviously baseball is taking a back seat because we were all in love with the NBA, so we all love that. And now we talked about the NBA draft. And will baseball ever get a chance to say, hey, we're out here too, guys? I just want to run down the American League. You have New York. They're 39-30, and they're in first place in the AL East, followed by Boston. Now, Boston is 40-32, but they're a half game back. You look at the Central, you have Cleveland. They're 38-32. Minnesota is a great place to play a baseball game at 36-33. And also in the West, this team is so hot in Houston, they keep that dome closed, Big C, but they might be opening up if they keep playing the way they're playing. They are 50-24 with the best record in Major League Baseball, and then they're chased by Seattle, which is way behind, 13 games out at 37-37. In the National League, Big C, we have in the East, you have Washington at 43-29, followed by Atlanta, 33-38. In the Central, Milwaukee is 40-35. Followed by Chicago, 36-35. And in the West, you have the Dodgers. Will this be the Dodgers' year? They're 47-26, and they're a game over Arizona out in the NL West. Big C, anything strike your attention in baseball? Do you hear anyone saying Barry Bonds coming to bat and making it a must-see game, Big C? Your thoughts on Major League Baseball?
Well, Charlton, Major League Baseball really is taking a back seat to what's going on in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? The College World Series, Charlton, has been exciting. I mean, I know that Major League Baseball is there, but, you know, the College World Series is so competitive. You know, today LSU and Oregon State played.
Yeah.
And the number 4 team in the country knocked off the number 1 team in the country. Oregon State had lost in 23 consecutive games, Charlton.
Yeah.
The second time this season they had a 23-game winning streak.
Yeah.
And they were, if you think about it, this was a team that was 2-0 in the tournament, Charlton.
Yep.
Was in the driver's seat. Now they're 1 game from elimination.
Yeah.
If they lose tomorrow against LSU, they're out of the tournament, the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about college baseball, Charlton. It's not a one-and-done scenario. You have an opportunity to absorb 2 losses.
Yeah.
And when we look at the NCAA tournament, even though the players don't make any money, it's a long, drawn-out.
Allegedly.
It goes for weeks.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a scenario that maybe the rest of college football and basketball needs to look at.
Yeah.
Not just the one and done, but let's do the best 2 out of 3. If you win 2,
Yeah.
you're done. But, you know, give these players a chance. Let's not just have a 1-game tournament and it's all over with.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. In fact, when you mention the fact that LSU beat Oregon State, LSU was 23 out of the last 26 games they had won. So they're not a slouch, and for them, I mean, it's just the way baseball should be played, where you don't really know who can win, because both teams are very sound. Should be a great game tomorrow when they square it up again. So obviously, whether you're like in baseball, or you're like in football or basketball, or track and field or golf, there's so much in the world that we cover on the world of Big C Sports. And as we get ready to close, Big C, I just want to bring up, we talked about the White House and POTUS and all the jobs that have been lost by Sears. I remember going back as a little boy, going to Sears and Roebuck to buy clothing. Not only tools, but clothing and car tires. That was a staple of American business. And for a lot of people that were told, we're going to bring jobs back and we're going to make America great again, they have to feel like they were stabbed in the back like Judas and bruises, Big C. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, I go back even further than you and you're dealing with Sears and Roebuck.
Yeah.
I remember the days when we used to get these blue chip stamps and these S&H green stamps that you would fill with books.
Yeah.
And you could go buy product with it. You know, they didn't give you just receipts. They gave you basically money for buying product in the store because you were able to cash in these stamps in there. We would have a stamp licking party every month. From what my mother had spent, so we'd have to sit down and fill up these stamp books because she would go cash me in for products for the home and for the family.
Wow.
But, you know, you think about the staple of Sears, you know, an iconic store. And I remember the first video game that came out was Pong.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you basically had this little bleep going across the screen. It was almost like a tennis or a ping pong game.
Yeah.
And we did not wait to go to Sears, you know, whenever we were going shopping on a weekend, and we would head to that section, you know, electronic section, to go play Pong because they had a game set up where you could sit there and play it in the store.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it would be a lineup of young people there wanting to play Pong. But, you know, you think about these iconic figures of America going away. And we had a president that ran on a platform how he was going to make America great again, how he was going to bring back American jobs, how industry was going to flourish and expand under his leadership. Charlton, we haven't seen that. We've seen industry leave America like rats on a sinking ship.
Wait a minute, don't tell me you've seen that too, Big Z.
You know, so he's spending more interest and time on covering his back on this investigation than he is investing into the American public.
Yeah.
I know his base will love him regardless, and they said, well, if people stop bothering him, then he could go head on and get on with the job at hand.
Yeah.
An investigation, Charlton, does not stop your job as the president.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
That investigation is being run independently. Your job as American president is to do your job, not sit up and sign executive orders all day long, because we've not seen one piece of legislation that will improve the lives of Americans as a whole. We've seen legislation that will help corporate America.
Yeah.
But the layman of American who went out and voted for it, there's no legislation that will help them. And even talking about killing Obamacare, you might as well call the mortuaries, because that's the only business that's going to increase by you getting rid of Obamacare and Medicaid, Charlton. That the mortuary business in America will increase.
Well, obviously, a lot of people have a lot to think about. And I'm telling you, going into this weekend, we've had so many great things happen. We had the NBA draft, and a lot of people excited about that. The College World Series is going on right now. We have coming up over the weekend some great games in Major League Baseball. Texas at the Yankees is one. Oakland at the White Sox is another. Toronto at Kansas City. Baltimore at Tampa. Also, you'll have Cincinnati at Washington, the Cubs at Miami, and Milwaukee and Atlanta. Big C, I want to ask you, we talked about politics. We talked about the NBA draft. We even hit on a little bit of what's happening in track and field up in Sacramento. I want to ask you what you're looking forward to going into the weekend outside of that cool bucket of moonshine, Big C, down south.
This is just another typical beautiful weekend living down in the South.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, you can go fishing, or you can go out and get some game, get down and, bring it back to the house and have it all ready to sit in front of the tube and watch some exciting television.
Yeah.
I'm glued to the tube this weekend for the College World Series.
Yeah.
That's what really has me excited. I'm waiting on Major League's, Midsummer Classic. When we get to the All-Star game, I really want to see the home run derby.
Oh, yeah.
George Greg, gets into it, Charlton from New York, and see him launch some of those bombers that he's been hitting this season. But the NBA draft was almost like anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I know they got your award show coming up, I think next month or whenever.
Yeah.
Sometime before the season
before
starts,
Christmas.
Which doesn't make sense. The championship's been over for a month, and all of a sudden you have the NBA award show.
Yeah.
Everybody's stretching everything too far. ESPN reeling back in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you do in the world of sports. But right now, the people that are running the house, don't have a key to the car.
Hey, don't worry about it. Next week, they're going to give out the Super Bowl MVP trophy, Big C. So if you follow what I mean, I want to say every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Also, I want to tell you, everybody, no matter where you are, there's never any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911, because no one should have to go through that garbage all on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.